Hello, welcome to Wilburn Forge. Today I'm going to show you how I make a Turkish twist pattern welded steel. The steels that I like to use is 1084 and 15N20. The 1084 is the darker steel, notice in this mosaic blade, and the 15N20 is the shinier steel. Now you look at the materials that I received from my supplier. The 1084 and the 15N20, they have a very light roller scale on them that will not hinder the welding whatsoever. So what I do is I stack them 110 thousandths 15N20 and a 1/4 inch 1084. And I will alternate the stack until I get about 20 layers together. Let's begin. So now I like to use the thicker pieces on the outside. It keeps it from warping. And as you can see, this is a 4-inch stack by 1.5 inches. And this weighs, as you can see on the scale, 10 pounds. So it's a manageable size billet. Now out of this billet, I might get 2 blades. There's a lot of waste. A lot of this will end up on the shop floor when you make a Turkish twist. Let's weld it up. So now we go into the quenching oil, and what this does is displace the oxygen. You can see the bubbles coming up. And the oil that remains will burn any oxygen that might be in there. And it will turn to soot, and that's what gives us a nice clean weld. So now I'm going to set the weld and start the drawing process. So now the billet is long enough that it will not fit in all the way into the forge, so I just stick the tip in. I'm going to start drawing this out like a piece of taffy. I'm going to squeeze that bar out into about 5/8 of an inch thick. And then we'll cut it off at 1 foot and just keep stretching to see how many bars we get out of this billet. So now we're heating up the bars to get them ready to twist in my pipe threading machine. That one's done. One twist. So if you notice, this one is turning to the right. We have 3 to the left, 2 to the right. We will alternate the pattern, and that's what's going to give us the Turkish twist. So now, as you can see, we have straightened out the bars on a hydraulic press. We're going to surface grind the surface about 25% off of each one of these billets, prepping them to be welded together. Is that good? Now I'm getting this ready. I'm going to weld the seams all the way around. I will leave a teeny hole at the back where I'm going to attach the handle so oil can get down in there and displace any oxygen. But this gives us a controlled atmosphere, which allows us to have a perfect welds. Okay, so this Turkish twist bar we put together, there's 5 bars in here. I do not want to distort this pattern at all. So what I'm going to do is cut off this chunk here. This edge right here will become the cutting edge. I will now forge that around, and that'll give me the cutting edge of the knife. We're going to make a 10-inch blade, and then down here I'm going to push in and make the ricasso and a tang. So if you can imagine this, that'll be ground off. I'll forge it around. And then the pattern for the Turkish twist, the best pattern, is the middle third. So then what we'll do is we'll surface grind both sides completely off till I get down to where I'm about 300 thousandths in the middle. And then that will give me the room to grind, forge the tip around, to maintain the pattern as tight and neat as we can without stretching it or distorting it. A lot of work, a lot of waste in this pattern. Now, people have asked me, how come I don't run this thing through a bandsaw and cut a third of each one of the sides off? Well, to be honest with you, that seems like a lot of work. It's probably just easier to grind it off. I'm not worried about saving steel or Damascus. I'm worried about the end product. So if I have to lose a lot of this steel on the shop floor, which I will, it's worth it in the end. Now I'm going to check the pattern by sticking it in a mixture of ferric chloride and distilled water. What this does is the acid eats one metal more than the other, and it'll reveal the pattern. As you can see here, the Turkish twist looks pretty good.
There you go.
That's it. We're right at 2 inches. Probably 11 and a half inch buoy. What I'm doing here is straightening out the blade in my hydraulic press. It gives me a nice flat surface, makes it easier to surface grind. Turkish twist is a pattern that you want to take a lot of care with to forge the profile perfectly so it does not distort the pattern. Now that I have the blade surface ground to about 1/4 of an inch, now I'm going to grind it and get it ready for heat treating. Now we've already heat treated and tempered this knife and ground it to shape. If you want to see what that looks like, we have another video out, our feather Damascus video. It shows us doing that. At this point, I'm using sanding stones or finishing stones to take out the grind marks, and then I will go through the grits in the paper, 220, 400, 600, 800, and then we'll be ready to etch the blade. Now that I've brought this blade up to an 800 grit finish, we'll start the etching process, and then I will sand it with 1500 and then 2000 as I go through the etching cycles. And here we have the finished knife. I like that it has a nice, bold, easy to read pattern. If I wanted the pattern to be smaller and tighter, more condensed, I would have used smaller bars and twisted them tighter. But I like to be able to read the pattern easily. If you remember at the beginning of the video, we weighed this billet. It weighed 10.6 pounds for the billet. This blade finished, the way you see it now, weighs 14.9 ounces. So I lost 91.5% of the billet to the shop floor, grinding or forging or whatever. It's a lot of waste, but I think the art is worth it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps us to make more videos, like the handle video that we're going to do for this one. Thank you for watching to the end.